Hi everybody, welcome back to our second video in the mutual fund series. The first one that we did was on equity mutual fund categorization. Thank you so much for all the love that you showed us on that video. In this one, we are going to demystify debt mutual fund categories for you. There are 16 different types of schemes or categories in the debt mutual fund space as per SEBI categorization. Each of these are very different from each other, and there are three parameters basis which SEBI is actually categorize these schemes and they are different from each other. First is average maturity, second is maculous duration, and the third one is on the basis of credit risk. I'm not only going to help you understand all three of these things, but I'm also going to categorize each of those 16 funds for you on the basis of any of these categories on which they really fall. So I'm hoping that you will love the video as much as you did the last, and let me start. Okay, so like I said, there are 16 different categories in debt mutual funds. Here are the 16 right in front of you. There are three reasons basis which they are different from each other. The first is the average maturity. Now you would see maturity written here, you would see maturity written here, and you would see maturity written here. So there are three funds out of these 16 which are based on average maturity. There are some funds based on duration. You would see duration written here and duration written here. And then there are funds which are different, or the reason the category is different is because they are based on credit risk. Now, first things first, let's try and understand what is this average maturity, on the basis of which there are three funds out of the 16 funds in the debt category. Average maturity is no different from the tenure in your fixed deposit. So suppose if you go to a bank and tell the bank that I want to do a 3-year fixed deposit, right? They give you a product which is an FD which is going to mature in 3 years, right? So you call 3 years as the tenure. Understand that the tenure is very simple or similar to average maturity. So suppose if I say that there is a mutual fund in which there are 50 bonds in which the fund has invested, and the average maturity is 3 years. What that actually means is that when you look at all of those 50 bonds, right, the weighted average maturity of all of these 50 bonds to put together is 3 years, which means on an average this entire portfolio will mature in 3 years. Now please understand the difference between this and the fixed deposit is fixed deposit will actually mature. Over here, these funds are open-ended funds, right? Which means they don't really mature. They continue to operate continuously. But at the time of you investing, if the average maturity is 3 years, that roughly means that all these 40, 50, 60 bonds put together, weighted average maturity will be 3 years. How is this significant and what is the significance? You have to understand that the average maturity of the fund should match your investment horizon, which means that if the average maturity of the fund is 3 years, please make sure that while you are investing in that product, you have a minimum of 3 years or more to invest in that. That's how you actually use the average maturity to decide whether a fund is good for me or bad for me. So if you have average maturity of the fund as 3 years, but if you want to invest only for 1 year, that's not the right fund for you. You need to have a minimum of 3 years or plus to be able to invest in a fund which has an average maturity of 3 years. Now there are three funds which SEBI is categorized basis the average maturity, and these are the three funds. So the first fund is overnight fund. SEBI categorization says that the average maturity should be 1 day. What does 1 day mean? 1 day means that all the bonds in which the fund has invested in on weighted average basis, this all of these should mature tomorrow within 1 day, right? Similarly, if liquids average maturity is up to 91 days, which means as a fund manager you can build a portfolio in such a way that the weighted average maturity of your entire portfolio should actually be less than 91 days, which means 91 days or lower, this portfolio should ideally end up maturing. Of course, when it matures, you buy new bonds and that continues. But at every point in time, your average maturity should be 91 days or lower. Money market fund maturity is allowed up to 1 year. which means over here the fund manager can actually take slightly longer maturing bonds in the portfolio, because as a portfolio you are allowed to hold these bonds in a way where the average maturity turns out to be up to 1 year. So out of those 16 funds, there are 3 funds which are categorized by SEBI basis average maturity. How do you use average maturity practically? Like I said, you have to make sure that you have minimum those many number of days or years as your investment horizon, as much as is the average maturity of the fund. So the average maturity of the fund is 5 years. Please do not invest in that fund if you don't have 5 years or more than 5 years as investment horizon. The second basis which this entire 16 funds are differentiated from each other is the duration. Now this duration is slightly a trickier concept, but let me try and simplify it for you. So there are some funds out of these 16, and to be precise, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 8 funds out of the 16 funds which are categorized basis the duration. Now it says that ultra short term fund can have duration between 3 to 6 months. Now what does this mean? Please understand, one of the biggest risks that debt funds really have is interest rates. Let me explain that to you. So what typically happens is, let's say if you invested in a bond which pays you 7% return today, right, and it's for 5 years. So what you are expecting is that the bond will keep paying you 7% for 5 years, and you will receive 100 rupees, which is your invested amount at maturity back. But after you having invested, interest rates in the market falls. So the new bond of the same company and same tenure is now available at 6%. But you are holding a 7% bond. So suddenly everybody starts understanding that your bond is far superior because it pays 7% versus the other bond in the market that pays 6. And everybody then wants to start buying your bond, which is a 7% bond. When everybody wants to start buying your bond, which is a 7% bond, the price of that bond, which was originally 100 that you invested, becomes 102, 105, 110. So what happened? When interest rates fell in the market, you saw the value of your bond move up from 100 to 102, 105, 110. The inverse is also true, right? That when interest rates, let's say you invested in the 7% bond at 10%, after you invested, the interest rate went up in the market. So anybody new who wants to invest, the same company for the same 5-year tenure is offering 8%, 9%, 10% on that bond. But you are holding something which is paying 7%, so the value drops to 98, 95, 90. So when interest rates went up, you saw the value of the bond go down. This is one of the biggest risks that debt mutual funds face, that once you pick up any of these funds, right, and post you investing, if interest rate goes up, it affects negatively to the fund, and when interest rate goes down, it impacts positively on the fund because they are inversely correlated to each other. What Macauley's duration helps you understand in the most simplest language is the magnitude of the impact. What I mean by that is that SEBI says an ultra short term fund should have duration between 3 to 6 months. And SEBI says that this fund, gilt fund with 10 years of constant duration, should have a Macauley's duration of 10 years. Now please understand, if interest rates are going to fall, which means your bond fund will give you higher returns, more returns because they are negatively correlated, this 10-year equal Macauley's duration fund is more aggressive and will give you very high capital gains versus this, where the Macauley's duration is only between 3 to 6%, 3 to 6 months. But the reverse is also true. If interest rates start going up and your bond or your mutual fund is supposed to get impacted negatively because of it, this will have a very small effect, and this fund will have a very large effect of interest rates moving. So what SEBI has done is told funds that you have to keep your Macauley's duration in a range, so that when somebody is investing, they know the risk that they are taking. So when somebody is investing in, let's say, a gilt fund with 10-year constant duration, this individual knows that if interest rates are moving, this fund will give me very high returns also and lose me a lot of money if I get the timing wrong. Similarly, when somebody is investing in ultra short, knows that this fund is not going to move too much even when interest rates are going up or even when interest rates are going down. So please understand, when you increase the MAC duration in your portfolio or you pick a scheme with higher MAC duration, you are taking higher interest rate risk. You will make higher returns also, but if you get the call wrong, you will lose. You will lose also in that context. The third reason or the third way these funds are different is something called as credit risk. Now, what is credit risk? Let me just pull those funds up for you first. Okay, what is credit risk? Credit risk says, or credit risk is a risk in which when you invest in a particular bond, either the bond issuer does not pay you your interest back or it does not pay you your principal back. That risk is determined as credit risk. Now, to make life simpler, what SEBI is typically done is SEBI has asked all companies which take money and issue bonds to get themselves credit rated. So you will see any company which has AAA credit rating or A1 plus, those companies are the best credit rated companies. Of course, whenever it says SOV, it's sovereign, which means government. But for corporates, AAA and A1 plus is the highest credit rating. Below that is AA plus, AA minus, then A plus, A minus, so on and so forth. Typically, you will see mutual funds only invest up to BBB minus. Of course, after them investing, it may fall below and it might also default, but they only invest up to BBB minus. Now, this is not to say that AAA and A1 plus will not default, but it is only to help you understand that as per the credit rating agency, the probability of AAA and A1 plus to default is very less, and AA plus or AA minus probability is slightly higher than AAA, which is why you will see that when the credit rating falls from AAA to AA to A, these companies end up paying you slightly higher returns to attract more money so that you invest in them. Now, basis this risk, some 5 funds are allocated out of the 16 funds. First is the corporate bond fund. So whenever you invest in a corporate bond fund, SEBI says 80% of your money should be invested in highest rated bonds, which means 80% of your money should be invested in AAA and A1 plus category of bonds. Credit risk funds is a riskier category where SEBI categorization says 65% of your money should be in lower than highest rated bonds. So highest is AAA. So 65% of your money should be in AA plus and below. The remaining 35 can be wherever. Similarly, over here, remaining 20 can be wherever, right? There is a fund called banking PSU. 80% has to be in banking and PSU is the mandate. There is something called as Gilt Fund. 80% has to be in GSECs, which means when you invest in this fund, the fund is compulsion to keep 80% of the money or invest 80% of the money in government securities. Gilt or GSEC stands for government securities. This is a very different product in itself, but like you have, if you've taken a loan, there are floating rate EMIs, right? When interest rate changes, your EMI changes. Similarly, this fund has a mandate that 65% of the money has to be invested in bonds which offer floating rate and not a constant rate, right? This is how all of these 16 categories are there in the fixed income or debt mutual fund space. Of course, this video is not meant to help you pick the right debt funds. That will happen in this 15 video series like I've explained to you. But this is the second video where the focus is only to help you understand which are the 16 categories, and hence the video was limited to that. But I think for me, the 3 takeaways that you should have from this video is: first, whenever you're trying to invest in a fixed income or a debt mutual fund, make sure that your time horizon matches the average maturity of the fund. Second, understand higher the MAC-less duration of the fund, you are taking higher interest rate risk. So you might make more returns, but there is more risk as well. And credit rating, the more you go down on the credit rating, So whenever you take AA plus, AA minus, A plus, you should make more returns. But there is also a risk that those companies might either skip your interest or principal, which might not get paid back to you. I hope you all are enjoying the mutual fund series. I hope you've enjoyed this one, learned something new. In the third video, I'm going to talk about hybrid, exactly the same way like I explained to you, equity and fixed income. Just a request, if you really like it, do comment, motivate us, help us understand where we can do better. Subscribe to our channel, click the bell icon, and definitely share it with your friends on your WhatsApp group so that they can also learn. And stay tuned for the other 12 videos in the mutual fund series. Thank you so much.